Is Wagner Group out of gas to take Bakhmut? Is the Russian Ministry of Defense out of gas to take Volodar? And does Ukraine have a secret weapon that is turning Russian armor into scrap? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's March 16th, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first off, we'll take a look at the map. I'm going to do it in English because I definitely don't speak Ukrainian. And when we zoom in, here's the most interesting change, right? I'll show it to you right here. No frontline updates. No major territory changing hands. Small changes in very, very minor adjustments in terms of probably just reflecting increased precision from some of the mapping and repositioning of forces, but really not a huge change in Bakhmut, which is itself sort of interesting and newsworthy, right? When we look at the attacks, you can see that the ground attacks have actually been fairly limited in number, just 75 across the entire front. And they've been concentrated actually outside of Avdiivka. When we look to the north near Bakhmut, you can see that the level of enemy or Russian activity is fairly low, just 3 attacks in the last 24 hours. When you combine this with the fact that Vingy Prigozhin, the Wagner head, has been extremely public about his own forces' high casualty rates and their lack of ammunition, well, you can start to see why this may be happening. When we look at the UK, their Ministry of Defense is, of course, discussing the Bakhmut sector, and that they have, while Wagner has had some success, Russian forces have actually, or Russian Ministry of Defense forces have actually been trying to take the town of Volodar. This is a site where months ago there was a fairly humiliating defeat of Russian forces, and so they have been repeatedly trying to assault this town. The problem is that, one, even if they were to take it, it doesn't really confer tactical significance. As you can see, it really isn't on the road to much of anywhere. It's surrounded on all sides by fields, and it's just not clear that there's really any value in taking Volodar beyond the propaganda value to a Russian domestic audience. But here's what's most interesting to me, is that one factor in Russia's heavy losses has been Ukraine's successful adoption of something called the Remote Anti-Armor Mine System, or RAM. RAM is a specialty artillery shell that scatters anti-armor mines up to 17 kilometers away from the firing unit. In some cases, Ukraine has launched these mines over and behind advancing Russian units, causing disarray when Russian vehicles attempt to withdraw. And you can see how effective that would be, right? There's very few routes to Volodar from Russian-held territory, right? They sort of have no choice. They almost have to cross this bridge here. So if you can put mines on this bridge, Russian armored forces will have no choice when they withdraw to return via this now mined route. And when I talk about the value of providing some of the aid to Ukraine, this is one example of what I'm talking about. This is an advanced system that is going to, that NATO countries, we know for sure the UK, is taking notes on not just how effective it is, does it work mechanically, but what tactics are best implemented, or how is it best used. And as you can see, I would never have thought to scatter mines behind a retreating force. But this is a great way to turn a light tactical victory into something that's really going to damage the enemy's operational capabilities. You're going to take a 2 destroyed tanks or a damaged tank, and you're going to make it a multiple casualty, what we call a mass casualty event. So still, Russia appears not to be learning any lessons about Volodar, but fascinating to see how the aid is being put to use and these new weapon systems are being implemented. Now, when we talk, there's some other news. First off, is that Institute for the Study of War is reporting that Russian operations in Ukraine appear to generally be slowing across the line. We saw that. They say that Russian ground attacks have decreased from 90 to 100 attacks a day to around 20 to 29. Now, I think that's probably the low end. We just saw a 70 attack day, but still, that's potentially up to a 30% decrease in activity. And what's fascinating is that it sounds like the Wagner Group is running out of its steam. It obviously was very, very vocal about its capture of Zaleziansky, which is a rural settlement so small we couldn't find the roads on the map. And it may seem strange that they're touting these minor gains when literally one block of Bakhmut is probably more operationally significant. And the reason they speculate is because Wagner may be running out of steam. Now, I will never sit there and tell you that Russia is out, right? Russia's forces, by NATO standards, would have been declared inoperational and not combat effective months ago. But their ability to launch an assault with 50 people in a company that used to be, 250, it continues to boggle the mind. Their willingness to send out troops with World War II era gear, their unwillingness to simply establish defensive positions and try to improve their training and equipping before launching another offensive. I'm never going to sit there and tell you that Wagner or the Russian Ministry of Defense is out of the fight. Again, their willingness to fight beyond what we would consider common sense is truly mind-boggling. But Prigozhin himself has said that the Russian Ministry of Defense is withholding large amounts of ammunition, that they no longer have access to Russian prisons to recruit prisoners, and they've lost a lot of equipment that hasn't been backfilled by the Russian Ministry of Defense. There's also some rumors that the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Kremlin, actually is pushing Wagner to take ever more territory, not in spite of it being tactically unsound, but because it's tactically unsound, that they want to have Wagner expend its entire combat power trying to take Bakhmut, deliberately forcing Wagner to assume massive casualties in order to make Wagner no longer a battlefield effective force, thereby declawing, so to speak, Prigozhin, the number one critic of the Russian MOD. In fact, he's such a big critic. This is actually pretty fascinating. The Russian State Duma made it illegal to, quote, discredit participants of the special military operation. I love how, to include the employees of Wagner Group, they've just declared them all participants, which is pretty funny. To be fair, the U.S. does the same thing with its contractors. There were plenty of contractors in Iraq and Afghanistan, some of whom carried guns and went on patrol with us. They just were ostensibly employees of Dynacorp. But what's fascinating is, of course, Prigozhin couldn't help but give his comments. He said that while he initiated and supported the law, he expects that it would not protect Wagner commanders from Russian MOD criticism, which is how a chain of command works. But he's not worried about being accused of discrediting the Russian MOD because, quote, he only speaks the truth. And he has his lawyers review all of his, quote, carefully worded social media posts. Now, maybe they are more carefully worded in Russian, but when I read the translations, I'm always shocked at his sort of cavalier attitude. He also posted his guys doing a war crime. So, I don't know what lawyer is going to tell you it's a good idea to show a man getting his head smashed with a hammer, but I'm obviously not a Russian lawyer. And Prigozhin also implied that, of course, Russia can't physically arrest 146 million Russians, which implies, of course, that every Russian hates the MOD, which is also seems probably true. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for today. You guys might know, if you're on the Patreon, there's a big announcement. It's dropping today. It's huge. I'm excited. And so stay tuned for it. Or if you're on the Patreon, you already know. Sort of. Anyway, have a good one.